episode number
59.
59. We started in our last episode, which would have been 58, talking about one of the hermetic laws of the universe, the law of vibration.
Yes.
And let me just preface it, and we stated this last week, but it's so good I want to say it again. Hermes Trismegistus, the father of hermetics and alchemy, stated, "He who understands the law of vibration has grasped" what?
The scepter of power.
The scepter of power. Think about that.
It's pretty powerful.
It's very powerful. So what do we know about vibrations? Well, all vibrations have different frequencies. A high vibration has a more empowering frequency. A low vibration can be like a cancer cell in the body. And I know that's a graphic example, but it literally can. If you look at a cancer cell in the body, it is literally a low frequency. So if you have a cancer cell in the body, what do you do as quickly as possible? That's right. You get it out as quickly as possible. What types of things, if we were to use this analogy, Bersabeh, what types of things could be considered as cancerous? I mean, they could be non-cancerous, but they also could be cancerous in the body or around us.
Our habits?
Our habits, our thoughts,
food, people.
Our food, people. People's a big one. Our consistent feelings. All of these things either have a high frequency or a low frequency.
Yeah.
And so if you look at the science of epigenetics, originally what we were told is that 50% of who you are is determined by your genetics. Now,
that's quite a bit.
That's quite a bit, and a lot of people say, man, I'm in trouble.
No.
You know, I was dealt a raw deal. But the good news is, on the flip side of that, is that means 50% is within your control. And that control, how do we exercise that control? There's two primary ways in epigenetics they say you exercise the control. Do you remember what they are?
It's by your habits and environment.
Habits in your environment, absolutely. So here's the greater news. Not only do you have 50% within your control, but the newest research in epigenetics now tells us that 85 to 90% of who you are is in your control. And once again, this is driven by your habits and your environment. So all of these things, your habits and your environment, consistently determine what gets turned on in your body or what doesn't get turned on. Because your body is like a faithful soldier. What does that mean to you, Bersabeh?
It means that it follows what you tell it to do.
It pretty much follows orders.
Yeah.
If you give it correct commands and correct tools, it will serve you really well.
Yeah.
On the flip side, if you don't,
if you abuse it,
that's right.
Yeah.
It won't serve you that well. So let's take a look at some of the habitual things that we do that could be detrimental to who we are. So what would be one of the first things that's habitual for most of us, Bersabeh?
Would be our thoughts.
Our thoughts. So talk a little bit more about that.
It's about how you think or talk to yourself. So if you take a day and pay attention to all the thoughts that come in your head, all the things you think about and say to yourself, it's could be quite shocking. I hope they're good.
Are you speaking from experience?
Yeah, in most cases, they're just not good. It's just repeating thoughts of nonsense. You shouldn't be repeating them.
That's right. It's quite sobering, actually, if you pay attention to all your thoughts, even for half a day.
Yeah.
It's quite sobering, and the reality is if your friends and family talk to you the way you talk to yourself, they probably wouldn't be your friends.
Probably not.
So we need to pay attention to our habitual thoughts. What else, Bersabeh, besides thoughts?
Besides thoughts would be our feelings.
That's right. And talk a little bit about feelings. What are some of the more powerful feelings we can have?
Well, there's powerful in a constructive way or destructive?
Yeah, good question. In a constructive way.
Feeling of joy.
That's right.
Feeling happy, feeling fulfilled.
Grateful. Loving.
Gratitude is a good one.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, Dr. David Hawkins' research, and it's well documented, tells us that every single thought and feeling has an instantaneous neurological impulse that shoots through your body that either leaves you in your natural state, which is what? In power, strength, or it puts you instantaneously into a weak state, which is not your natural state. Your natural state is to be powerful. Yeah. And so you have habitual thoughts, you have habitual feelings, you know, a powerful feeling of hate versus a powerful feeling of love. Are they different? Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah. Quite a bit different. And then you've got your habitual environment. And we did an 8-part series a couple of months ago on environment. And we broke it down into 8 different categories of environment. One of those that's very powerful are the people that you surround yourself with on a continual basis. You will tend to only rise to the level of your peer group.
That's true.
You know, you tend to not outgrow your peer group because if you're with people who are constantly feeling negative, constantly thinking things are terrible, then you have a greater propensity and tendency to be in that same kind of frequency. So that's one of the 8 types of environments that are very, very important that you need to pay attention to are the people. How about diet, habitual diet?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, talk some about that.
Well, it's about the types of food you put in your body. Are they types of food? Are you eating just to eat, or, you know, are you eating to live for performance and vitality?
That's right.
Or are you eating for comfort?
Yeah, are you eating to live? Are you eating to performance? Or are you eating for comfort? Those are good questions to ask and answer. If you're constantly following your moods, you're being driven by your lower animal drives. And there's a lot of research here that tells you those kinds of comfort foods or mood foods impact your microbiome, and they eventually create Alzheimer's and dementia because all these things now we know start in the gut. Serotonin, which makes us feel good, also starts in the gut. So your habitual diet is really, really important to, once again, we're talking about the law of vibration, the frequency of energy that you're in. And then what about exercise?
Oh, yeah, exercise is pretty important.
It's really important. And why is that?
Well, you gotta have movement. You know, I think even if you had, let's say if you had a poor diet or if your environment you couldn't really do much about at the moment, if you exercise, you're automatically going to start feeling better.
True. Good point.
Even if you're missing those other parts.
Good point.
Yeah.
And if you have all of them, then you're really going to start feeling better. You know, here's something that most people don't really understand or think about, and maybe you're hearing it for the first time, unless you've heard us talk about it before, is that a lot of people want to be spiritual. They say they want to be spiritual. And what does spirit do, Bersabeh?
Spirit moves.
It moves. Spirit is energy, and energy has a frequency or vibration.
Yeah.
And so to be spiritual, you have to move. We are not meant to be sedentary.
No.
So you should make it a practice to move every single day. You know, far too many people in today's world spend their entire day at their desk in front of a computer.
Yeah.
You gotta force yourself to push back and to get up and to move. About every 90 minutes is a really good measurement. So all of these factors that we've discussed here briefly activate your genes, and they either activate the empowering genes or they activate the disempowering genes. So you have control, 85 to 90% according to epigenetics. You have control.
That's good news.
Over what gets activated or not activated in the genes. And here's the last thought that we'll leave you with for today. Most people, in our experience, relive the life of their parents with 1 or 2 improvements at best. Now think about yourself. Most people relive the life of their parents with 1 or 2 improvements at best, and we're going to challenge you. Let that not be you. Take your power back. Take control of your habits and your environment, and make sure your frequency is high and the genetics inside of you are high as well. I want to thank you for a couple of moments here today. Hopefully this is valuable. God bless you. Lots of love. We'll see you next week.
See you next time.